Hey, what's up, guys? It's UPCOE2K5 doing another review. I know just bought you guys another review before, but this one, a lot of people asked for it, so I'm going to do it. 98 right feed autococker pump gun. This is probably my daily shooter. This is the one that I shoot all the time. A lot of people always get questions about it. Why do you shoot a pump gun? Why do you have a pump gun? So this is going to be a nice review. I'm in my basement. It's one of the only places where it's kind of quiet. So we're going to do it in my basement. I had to clean out a nice little area so we could do this. Okay, basically, who makes autocockers? Basically, it was a company named WGP, War Games Products. Started out by Bud Orr. They started making autocockers in 1988, and their first guns were snipers, and they had pump kits on them. They were not semi-auto, they were pump kit guns. So basically, they came configured like this in a way. They had a pump on it, and you would have to pump it every time. So you would pump, and they would load the round in, and you would be able to shoot the marker. Around the 1990s, they came to these, basically, configured like this. These is about like a 2000 autococker. It's just a plain WGP autococker body. RAM, three-way, LPR, basically. The function of this would be you press the trigger, it would open up a valve, the bolt would hit back because of the three-way rod. It would open up the RAM. The RAM would take the cocking rod back, basically push it back, cock the gun, and then fire it for another shot. Basically air it up and fire it for another shot. It's a pretty decent system. I mean, these are one of the first semi-auto markers available. Readily available to the average person. I mean, there was automags, and basically those two guns, cockers and automags, were the two major guns in the 90s that people were using, pro teams were using, and there was a big divide, which is better, which is worse, you know. Honestly, I've never shot a mag before, but autocockers, I just love them. They're old school greatness, and they just feel great. Going back to it, basically, WGP had a lot of companies that took these bodies, milled them out. There's probably at least 7 or 8, 10, 10s, maybe even the 20s, different kind of bodies that autocockers came in. They are still making autococker style bodies today, and different types of autocockers. The Empire Sniper, the Empire Resurrection, you know, those are newer guns that are based off of the autococker kind of system. There's a bunch of parts you can buy for these, you know, beaver tails, regs, upgrade the three ways and the LPRs and that stuff, barrels, everything. These guns are great. You can tune them, you can touch them, you can do whatever you need to do with them, and you can make them shoot just the way you want them to shoot. Getting back to my gun. My gun is a 98 right feed autococker. That's basically, it had the setup like this before, but it got switched at some point. It has a stock Econo pump kit on it. It's nice. You know, I put a tougher swing in it so it returns a little bit better, and I can pump this and shoot this pretty quick. Basically, the back, I have a cap beaver tail. The beaver tail basically just, if you can see, makes it so the back block doesn't smack you in the face. So if you have your gun up, you have the beaver tail there to let you know. The back block might smack you in the face, because people that run without a beaver tail, sometimes the back block does smack them in the mask, and it's interesting when that happens. Next, I have a X-block back block, which is basically made for A&S quick pull bolt. So as you can see on this gun, you have an actual push pin, and then the bolt will come out. So on my gun, you just basically push the bolt on the back, and it will take the bolt right out in 2 seconds. So that's nice and easy if you need to get to a part back there. Has a smart parts on and off, CP rail, and the coolest thing about this, I get a lot of comments on this, you know, Shock Tech frame. It's a hinge frame. This would be a slider frame. There's two different, there's a divide on that. Some people think, you know, Shock Tech frames, hinge frames are better. Some think slider frames are better. I know Shock Tech, they make really, really really, really light trigger pulls. So basically, it fires within like just barely any pressure on it. So that's always nice. I don't know what internals on this gun. Internals, some people say you get better efficiency. Some people say you get better, smoother trigger pull, smoother pump pull. But I really haven't experienced that. I've only experienced different pump kits having smoother pump strokes and maybe, stuff like that. CP Reg makes it so that it's a little bit more modern. It can actually adjust the FPS a little bit easier, because in the old days, this is the cocking rod back here, which would cock the gun. Basically, there's a inside where the cocking rod goes. It's called the IVG, internal velocity governor. That basically means that that was the way that you would do, kind of like a microscope. You have your coarse and your fine adjustment. The IVG was your coarse adjustment. You would kind of dial in your gun, get it to where it needed to be shooting, and then if you had an adjustable reg, you would sweet spot that reg and get it dialed in plus minus whatever. So the CP reg though makes it so that I don't have to go through the IVG anymore. Set the IVG and just let it go. They're great guns. That's all I have to say. Going down to my barrel. This is a longbow barrel system. It's a two-piece barrel. It's 13 inches. It's actually kind of a small bore. 6.84. Why would I have a small bore on this gun? Well, it's a pump gun. These are closed bolt guns. So basically the way that the system works is, I don't know if you can see this or not, when I pump this gun, the bolt is in the back position, as you can see right here. When I close that gun, the bolt goes forward and you cannot see it anymore. It's blocking the feed. So the ball actually gets pushed up into a little notch up here, and then you can fire it. So there's basically no detent. There's nothing stopping the ball from rolling out of the end of the gun. There's no eyes on this gun. There's nothing. So basically, if you have a smaller bore on your gun, it will prevent rollouts on the gun. A lot of times, pump players will cock their guns before they start running, cock their guns before, they make movement, and sometimes they point their guns down. You would get rollouts. Then you're shooting air. Then you're in no man's land then. Does have a ball detent. Really doesn't do much. It just basically tries to prevent double feeding. If you double pump this gun, sometimes you can chop paint inside, but you can shoot a double shot. It's a little tricky shot. There is another shot called the drop shot. Basically, that means if you can take your hand. Sometimes when you hold the pump, you get a nice crisp shot. When you take your hand off the pump, it allows for blowback through the gun, so the ball will drop off with less SPF. So it's a nice little drop shot if you need to get behind a bunker. So that's pretty neat. Most of the time, most old school players will play with something called the Revy. A lot of people don't know what these are. These are some of the earliest electronic hoppers out there. They're basically just got paddles on the inside that spin, and they're basically just a gravity-fed hopper with just paddles on the inside that spin to agitate it, so you don't have to keep on shaking the gun. Why use a Revy? Why use something like this? Why use something old? Well, I'm not going to be shooting 13, 20, all those high BPS rates. I don't need something that's going to shoot crazy amounts of paint. Maybe I can get 5-6 BPS out of this if I'm pumping fast enough. But the Revy, good enough. I don't need a force feed loader. That's another thing. A force feed loader, sometimes on a pump gun, will try to force the balls past the detents, and they will get the rollouts through the barrel, and you will get rollouts and breaking paint because it's a force feed loader. These don't have eyes, once again. They're just regular guns, mechanical pump guns, basically. So, you don't want something pushing paint, pushing on the stack, trying to push it out the barrel. So that's why you probably would use a Revy. Pump guns are just fun. I'm going to try to make another video soon about why pump gun play is fun. Why should I play pump gun? Why do you play pump guns? Why wouldn't you just use your electronic guns? You shoot 15 BPS, 30 BPS. Well, I'll just tell you now, just a quick hint, it's a lot of fun to play with a pump gun. It's a lot of skill involved, and if you don't want to shoot a lot of paint, you save a lot of money shooting a pump gun. Some pump guns are incredibly cheap. You can find full builds, or you can build a gun like this, a couple $100. I know the Empire Sniper is going around like $400 or $500 or less with a full barrel kit. It's a great starting gun. You can find newer autocockers and you can pump them out for cheap. Hope this was informative. Thanks, guys.